3.4. I wasn't really sure what he was talking about. Was it a GPA? So I asked, what? 3.4. At this point, I was pretty confused. I'd come to see an admissions rep and was interested about his college. And here he was telling me 3.4. 3.4 what? 3.4, he said, is the average number of times a college student will change their major. And I remember clearly my thoughts after that. I thought to myself, oh great, he thinks I'm one of those people. Now he's going to waste my time talking how I'm going to change my major to this and change my major to that. Because when I applied to college, and in my freshman fall, I was 100% sure that I was going to study computational neuroscience. I've always been a very secure person and values certainty. So I ask myself very often what it is my purpose in life is, or what it is that I want to do. I always liked the brain, and when I had a few fortunate opportunities to work in some neuroscience labs, it seemed very natural that my purpose in life would become to study neuroscience. And so I had it all set out. My freshman fall, 3 of the 4 classes that I was taking were related to neuroscience, and I even managed to get myself into a neuroscience lab. But then I began bumping into people at Brown who were doing something different and placed a little seed in the back of my mind that tugged and nagged, yearning to grow. My goal today is to share with you that same seed through some of the stories that I gained while being here during my first semester. And should you choose to plant that seed, give you 3 things that I've learned about how to grow a tree. The first person that I met was Cliff, who planted the seed in the back of my mind. Cliff was in the one class that I was taking that was not neuroscience related, and we just so happened to bump into one of each other at one of the eateries here. We sat down and started talking about John Locke and private property because it was related to the course material. And having always done political debate in high school, this is something that really intrigued me. So I got to know Cliff a little bit better. It turns out that he was an entrepreneur. As a senior, he had already started 6 startups, including ones to put brakes on longboards so that people wouldn't have to jump off, and a platform to automate tasks for college students using virtual assistants. Cliff introduced me to Max's salon, where I began to meet more interesting people who were doing awesome and exciting things. It was that salon that I met Valentine, who really honed in for me the seed that grew in the back of my mind. Valentine did not get a prescribed track to college, yet of all the people here, he was pursuing his dreams the most vigorously and grew the most in the shortest period of time. Valentine grew up in Mexico with all of his other friends and had a particularly keen interest for soccer and tennis. However, he always itched to learn as much as he can and create awesome and exciting things, as he put it. So one day, in his sophomore year of high school, he decided that he would go to an American college. Having never really seen anyone done that, he just decided to Google it, how to get into an American college. He had seen one other person go to an American boarding school for high school, and he saw that on Google this came up repeatedly, so he decided that he would try to apply to an American boarding school. However, by that point in time, most of the deadlines had passed, so he just tried applying wherever he could, hoping to leverage himself. He did manage to get in, but soon found out that he was lacking in his math skills. The school wanted him to take Algebra 2 instead of pre-calculus. So he lied to them and told them that he took Algebra 2, and then proceeded to find a teacher in Mexico to teach him all of Algebra 2 in just 2 weeks. This spark of math brought him to a summer competition math camp the following summer, where he learned abstract algebra, but more importantly, that you can program. Before this, he didn't know that you can write code on a computer to get it to do something. For him, this married his passions of learning as much as possible and creating awesome and exciting things. So from that day forward, he dedicated himself to 4 hours a day watching YouTube videos, trying to self-teach him coding. Within a year, he had created 15 iOS apps, was taking AP Calculus BC, computational investing, intro to machine learning, and started his own tech startup with a bunch of his friends. Now at Brown, Valentine runs the entrepreneurship program, is taking countless projects and startups on his hands, is taking graduate-level computer science courses, exercises and runs regularly, reads 3 books a week, and still manages to get more sleep than I do. But it wasn't just Valentine and these crazy stories that I was bumping into. I was meeting really interesting people who just wanted to create an online platform for people to share stories, or others who just wanted to personalize happy birthday cards and letters for children in hospitals, and those who just wanted to travel the world. And what each of these stories did is they placed a real and palpable human where I first just had this abstract concept. I'd never really met people who were doing things and dreaming big and pursuing the impossible. What dreams and achievements became were recipes and steps and chapters in people's lives. Sure, it's not as simple as finding one recipe, but I realized that dreams was about iterating and finding the steps and recipes and getting closer and closer to what it is that you want. And in one flash of insight, all of the biggest people and all of the biggest accomplishments, from Oprah Winfrey to Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay climbing Mount Everest, to Magellan and MLK, all of it became possible. These people were my dream hunters and iconoclasts because they broke this abstract image and brought it down into the realm of reality. So I began to dream bigger, but I also began a journey to try and understand what it is that made dream hunters different. I like to think in terms of mindsets and ideas that we carry. I believe that the way that we think shapes us more than anything else. So I tried to understand what thoughts these dream hunters had that I didn't. I began to know my friends a little bit better. I scoured blogs and biographies of entrepreneurs, and I watched TED Talk after TED Talk, trying to understand what these people implicitly did differently and explicitly said that they did differently. And I found three main things. The first differentiator is what I had unconsciously begun to do. Dream hunters dream big and let themselves plant the seed in the back of their mind, hoping it will flourish as much as possible. Dream hunters believe that they can do the impossible and believe that they can achieve. For example, I remember asking one of my friends, Peter Thiel's famous interview question, what is a very important truth very few people agree with you on? You know what he said? That he can do the impossible. And what I think this boils down to is humanizing dreams and accomplishments and seeing it as recipes. This often first takes the form of leveling out the playing field. Another friend of mine said that he had no problem going to entrepreneurial conferences and talking to people 10, 20, 30 years ahead of him because he realized that they weren't too different from him, that they were just pursuing dreams and recipes like him. So I challenge you to find the biography of your role models or some people pursuing your dreams right now. Understand what recipes they're pursuing and what it is that makes them different, but also recognize that they are not too different from you. Let them become your iconoclasts and bring your dreams into the realm of reality. Recognize your potential. Yet I believe that there is still a barrier that paralyzes many of us with inaction. Even though I let myself dream beyond computational neuroscience, I still felt just shy of reaching my dreams. I believe that this starts with a fear of the unknown, the uncertain, and a fight against comfort. This then is the second differentiator of dream hunters. They have recognized and overcome the fear of the unknown and the fear of the uncertain. When I released myself from majoring in computational neuroscience, my future naturally became murkier. I see a direct correlation between how uncertain our futures are and how scary we perceive them to be. And I think the scarier we think our futures are, the more likely we are to avoid them and to find things that are certain and comforting and create something for ourselves. I like to frame this often as a mirage. The things that we find, these factors, uncertainty, risk, failure, the unknown, what they do is they twist and distort our future and what our dreams can lead us to. And so our dreams are caught behind this mirage, just short of us reaching them. It's important to realize that there is an evolutionary explanation for why this occurs. We were bred to be conservative and to do what has been done. We seek certainty and security because for our ancestors, that's what meant making it to the next day. It was never about dreaming, it was about surviving. Today though, without this constant struggle to survive, what the mirage does more than anything else is derail us from our dreams and the ambiguities that they produce. I think the mirage pushes us into our comfort zone and linearizes our thinking. We get caught in the constant drone of life, in boredom and monotony. I think Tim Ferriss of the 4-Hour Workweek may have put it best when he said, Uncertainty and the prospect of failure can be very scary noises in the shadows. Most people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. So what I want us to get most from this talk today, and what I want you to consider, is what the Mirage does and what it is. Take some time later and think about how the Mirage has affected the decisions that you make in life. See that oftentimes it is the greatest obstacle between us and our dreams. The natural question we must ask next is, how do we break out of the Mirage? On a simple and plain surface level, it's about stepping out of your comfort zone and having it turn out okay. However, we're placed in a certain vicious cycle, or catch-22. In order to overcome our certainty, our need and sense of security, we must do things that are insecure and have them turn out okay. However, most of the time, in order to do that, in order to do things that are insecure, we must have first overcome our need for security. This, then, is the third differentiator of Dreamhunters. They act, and they do, and they experiment. They try and fail, they iterate and variate, and they do it over and over again. And what happens is, naturally, they're placed in circumstances that are slightly out of their comfort zone, and put themselves in circumstances where they don't know the outcome. And what they do is, time after time, they realize things aren't so bad. Tim Urban, the author of the blog Wait But Why, captured this very well in his post about breaking fear. He said that doing something out of your comfort zone and having it turn out okay is an incredibly powerful experience, one that changes you. And each time you have that kind of experience, it chips away at your respect for your brain's ingrained, irrational fears. I think he couldn't have put it any better. This is your call to action. Stop listening to your brain for just a few minutes. Do something. Find anything. Find that person that you really like and ask them out to coffee. Call up Mark Zuckerberg or your favorite role model or someone pursuing your dreams and ask them a question. Go singing in a park or rolling around in the grass. Or just find a teacher whose class you don't have the requirements for and ask them if you can take the class. Anything. Start small and just try. Slowly but surely, failure and risk and iteration won't really be those things, but they'll become what they truly are, opportunities to learn and grow. Each iteration and experiment that you take to break the Mirage won't just be tools to break the Mirage, but they'll be the key ingredients that you use to find the recipe that you need to follow your dreams. And so I think that's all that dream hunting comes down to. It's about humanizing achievement and finding an iconoclast to bring your dreams back into reality. And it's about finding your recipe. It's realizing that the Mirage is often what stops us most, and our need for security is what keeps us within our comfort zone. And then finally, it's about breaking the Mirage by doing and trying and iterating and stepping just slightly out of the comfort zone each time. So I want to bring us back to 3.4. What do you guys think? Will it be 3.4 or 4.4? How many times will we change our major? How willing are we to immerse ourselves in insecurity and the unknown? Will it be every week? Every day? I hope you find that number for yourself. Pursue your wildest dreams and break the Mirage. Thank you.